Stellar Blade's PC release has really done a number on the video game journalists because they can't seem to figure out that this is simply a good game and that's why it's successful, because they're saying that only thirsty players are the reason why it's made so much money and why so many people are playing it, and that it's only outperforming many PlayStation ports because of sex appeal. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, first of all, I want to start this video off with saying that should not be seen as a negative thing. That a product sells well because its audience is interested in it. It's really not rocket science to see how this company made so much money from all of their games, not even just Stellar Blade. They are catering to a specific audience, and that should not be seen as a negative thing. Who cares if this game actually only sold because it has sex appeal? If that's what people want to consume for content, that should not be seen as a negative thing. It is an M-rated game for adults that adults are buying. End of story, period. Of course, they've also been freaking out about adults downloading adult mods for this title, but they're also completely ignoring why this game is so special. And sure, sex appeal is definitely one major reason why people definitely paid attention to it initially. Having a gorgeous female character, really a gorgeous cast in general, the male and the female characters, with the really cool action combat that they highlighted, that right there is a reason why so many people would buy it. But it's good beside that. That's not the only thing this game has going for it. It's got a really great story. It's got super smooth, fantastic combat. The soundtrack is honestly one of the best that I've ever heard. You've got such a big cast of characters. There's lots of twists and turns, and sure, you can kind of tell where the story is going and what characters are the most important in the story from early on, but it's still good because of other reasons, not just sex appeal. But it seems the access media can't understand that because they're posting articles like this Stellar Blade, why it thrived on PC, and of course they don't want to paint this in a positive light. In an age where the digital shelves of PC gaming are increasingly stocked with once exclusive console treasures, a peculiar phenomenon has captured the industry's attention. While many PlayStation blockbusters have made the leap to Steam, often landing with a quiet thud rather than a triumphant roar, one title has defied expectations, rocketing to the top of the charts: Stellar Blade. The only expectations this defied were the expectations from the access media that this game was going to fail. I think anybody who played it on PlayStation 5 knew that it was a fantastic game and knew that it would be successful when it came to PC. And hell, even months ago when I was talking about the eventual release of this, I had said that it was most likely going to be a major success because there were a lot of people who wanted mods. People who last year were talking about how excited they were that it was going to come to PC one day because they'd be able to mod it. So I don't think that it really defied expectations. It says, though, this isn't just another successful port, it's a case study in how a confluence of factors, some predictable and others niche, can propel a game beyond the perceived reach of its console native peers. For years, PC gamers have watched with a mix of envy and anticipation as critically acclaimed PlayStation titles eventually grace their platforms. It's like they're trying to shame people who are on PC, like, oh man, these people have been begging for these games. They've been waiting. A mix of envy and anticipation. It's pretty pathetic the way that they're wording this. Feels kind of weird. It says, though, the promise was immense, a fresh wave of big budget experiences for the ever-growing pile of shame in their digital libraries. But it goes on to talk about how, yes, Stellar Blade comfortably outpaces heavyweights like Ghost of Tsushima, Director's Cut at 77,000, God of War 73,000, Spider-Man Remastered 66,000, and The Last of Us Part 1 at 36,000. And it's also important to note that as of making this video on Sunday, it's sitting at 192,078 for the all-time peak, and it has really only gone up every single day, so I'm curious to see over the next week or two what it will end up being. I think it'll probably get over 200,000, but I don't think that it's going to get to like 3 or 350 or anything. The article, though, talks about how most fundamentally is the quality of the PC port. It is actually a very well done PC port. I think that it is perfectly optimized. That is very rare in this day and age when so many companies just pump out mediocre products and have baked products. So I do think that that is a big reason why it's also done so good. And it says, beyond the technical prowess, Stellar Blade has a distinct identity that resonates deeply with a particular segment of the gaming populace. Described as a third-person hack and slash with essential parries and dodges, explorable open sections, and a plot distilled into purest trope juice from the countless sci-fi anime, it's been affectionately, or perhaps critically, dubbed Nier Automata for Dummies. I've never once heard somebody call it that, and if that actually is the case, it is by a journo. But this is an absolutely insane take because I'm gonna try to not spoil it for you. But the story, while yes, at times can be kind of predictable, it really isn't the worst in terms of predictability. There are a lot of twists and turns. How do I explain this without spoiling? Like, Mother Sphere was created for the purpose of advancing humankind, and like experimentations went wrong, and humans evolved into these like vicious monsters called the Natibas. They only really wanted to kill new humans. Then there were people who were experimenting, and it's got a lot of lore when you actually sit down and you fucking pay attention, but these people would actually have to play the game in order to know the story, and clearly they're not doing that. It says, though, that Stellar Blade embraces fan service with an unapologetic zeal. Eve's design is central to the game's aesthetic, and the user reviews often highlight the shameless, thirsty camera angles with a mix of humor and appreciation. The overt embrace of a certain visual appeal isn't just a passive element, it actively fuels another significant driver of its PC success, the modding community. While it would be reductive to attribute Stellar Blade's success solely to the availability of nude mods, it's undeniable that this immediate and enthusiastic embrace by modders taps into a powerful, albeit unspoken segment of the PC gaming demographic. In the Venn diagram of horny weebs and people who want a sequel to Nier Automata already clearly has a substantial overlap, and Stellar Blade has effectively catered to both. Why are you so bothered by that? Why are you truly so upset with the fact that people are getting content that they've asked for, content that companies know are going to make money? It's really not that big of a deal. Of course, we also here have Destructoid saying the mods are overflowing with risque content as satisfied gamers quench their thirst in the Steam review. So they're saying that, of course, a lot of these mods are straight up pornography because, of course, they are, and of course, that's what gamers would end up downloading, and that's the only reason why this is successful. Vice has also said that Stellar Blade's PC launch breaks Steam records thanks to its thirsty fan base, and this is just an absurd angle to take. Yes, again, I do think that modding is a part of it, but I do not believe that modding and sex appeal is the only thing that sold this game, because we've seen plenty of titles come out over the years that have had a large amount of sex appeal and fan service, but they weren't massively successful, like the First Descendant, for example. Anybody can jump into that. You don't have to, in theory, spend any money on it, and you can give it a go. But at the end of the day, while yes, the visuals are beautiful and a lot of the characters look fantastic, and I do think that the gameplay is kind of fun, it gets really repetitive really quickly, and the sex appeal cannot make up for a lot of the mid features that are in the game, and just how the title really truly is lacking in a lot of areas like the story. I think that they actually need to recalibrate their fucking brains here and actually pay attention to the feedback that games like this get. Sure, I do think that that would be asking too much of these people to actually sit down and play a game and, God forbid, listen to gamers' opinions, but maybe one day they could do it. I mean, most of these people are, of course, losing their jobs left, right, and center. And we've been giving them suggestions on how to keep their positions at these companies, but it hasn't particularly worked so far. So, yeah, I don't think that we're surprised to see hit piece after hit piece after hit piece release against gamers. But according to these journalists, this game is only successful and it reached these heights because of its distinct aesthetic and the horny weebs. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.